I'm Brett Baer in Washington, and this is a Fox News alert. Republican leaders have come together, issuing their party's standards on everything from immigration reform to health care to the debt ceiling. This comes at the same time that President Obama is fighting with his own party over trade. Chief Congressional Correspondent Mike Emanuel is live on Capitol Hill with the latest on these GOP principles. Hi, Mike.
Well, Brett, good evening. House Republican leaders are taking on major issues such as finding an alternative to Obamacare, a more free market system, and immigration reform, including legal status for those already here, laying out principles trying to show the GOP is the party for big ideas.
Doing immigration reform in a common sense, step-by-step manner helps our members understand the bite-sized pieces. It helps our constituents build more confidence that what we're doing makes sense.
The bill as amended is passed.
That's a contrast from the Senate, which last year passed a massive bipartisan comprehensive immigration reform bill. While the Senate provides a path to citizenship for the estimated 11 million illegals in this country, the House is expected to only offer them legal status. The House Republican principles obtained by Fox also include border security and interior enforcement must come first, implementation of an entry-exit visa tracking system, employment verification and workplace enforcement, and reforming legal immigration so the best and brightest educated here can stay. It also says children of illegals brought here should be provided an opportunity for legal residence and citizenship.
It's important that we show the American people that we're not just the opposition party, we're actually the alternative party.
At Tuesday night's State of the Union, President Obama sold reform as being critical for economic growth.
It is time to heed the call of business leaders, labor leaders, faith leaders, law enforcement, and fix our broken immigration system.
Though some conservatives worry it could split the GOP. On replacing Obamacare, the House GOP's guiding principles include ensuring the availability of health care options that all household budgets can afford, provide more Americans access to and choice of care options and doctors they want, and enable more doctors to practice medicine. There's also the issue of the government's borrowing authority, the debt ceiling, which Mr. Obama wants extended in February without negotiation.
When our differences shut down government or threaten the full faith and credit of the United States, then we are not doing right by the American people.
Yet some House Republicans note it was Mr. Obama who once said having no plan for dealing with our long-term debt is a failure of leadership.
I've been so surprised that the president has abdicated leadership and he always asks Congress to be the leaders of the American people.
And they'd like Mr. Obama to put some pressure on his fellow Democrats to get this done.
This has always been placed on the House to lead. The president is required to lead. He's made it clear that he wants a clean debt ceiling. His party controls one half of Congress.
Of course, Republicans would like to control the other half, the Senate, and part of laying out an alternative vision is designed to show what the GOP could do with majorities in both chambers of Congress. Brett?
Mike Emanuel live on the Hill. Mike, thank you. Meanwhile, as we said at the top of the show, President Obama cannot get his party to fall in line over trade, at least not yet. It's not opposition from one of the usual suspects, but rather a close ally. White House correspondent Wendell Goller is traveling with the president.
As the president road-tested his State of the Union threat to bypass Congress if Republicans won't work with him, a split was opening in the Democratic Party on trade. At a speech outside Milwaukee, Mr. Obama repeated his vow not to be a lame duck his remaining 3 years in office.
I want to work with them, but I can't wait for them. We got too much work to do out there.
But with control of the Senate up for grabs in the fall, Majority Leader Harry Reid doesn't want Democrats to take politically tough votes on 2 trade agreements.
I'm against fast track.
Fast track authority enables the administration to craft an agreement that Congress can only vote up or down but cannot amend. And the administration is right now negotiating 2 such agreements, one with Asian Pacific nations and another with European countries. In his State of the Union address, Mr. Obama called for bipartisan cooperation to pass both.
When 98% of our exporters are small businesses, new trade partnerships with Europe and the Asia Pacific will help them create even more jobs.
But some Democrats believe American workers lost out in the free trade agreement with Mexico and Canada. Organized labor isn't enthusiastic about the new trade deals. On this day, the president spoke at a union-organized General Electric plant. And while Reid hasn't said he'll block a vote, he certainly hasn't committed to one.
Everyone would be well advised just to not push this right now.
Republicans wasted no time turning the president's State of the Union threat against him.
The president's State of the Union said he had a phone and a pen. I think the first phone call actually has to be to Harry Reid. Talk about trade.
For months, Democrats have criticized Republican divisions over Tea Party demands and reluctance to compromise. They've accused House Speaker John Boehner of being hostage to them. But now Boehner's turned the tables.
We cannot pass this bill without his help. And if this is one of his own priorities, you would think that he would have the Senate Majority Leader working with him to pass trade promotion authority in order to expand opportunities for our fellow citizens.
Here in Nashville, the president's promoting a program that aims to align student education more closely with the jobs employers need to fill now. And tomorrow, he'll ask some of the nation's biggest employers not to put people who've been out of work for 6 months or more at the back of the hiring line. It won't have the force of law, but aides say the commitment will help. Brett?
See the president speaking right over Wendell's shoulder, traveling with the president. Thank you, Wendell. The Commerce Department says the economy grew at a rate of 3.2% in the fourth quarter due to robust exports and household spending. The GDP growth was in line with economists' expectations, and that meant stocks rallied today. The Dow picked up 110. The S&P 500 added 20. The Nasdaq closed 72 ahead. If you're a Type A personality, you've probably already mailed your tax returns to the IRS. If not, you still have time. But as tax day approaches, the agency Americans love to hate is suffering through its own problems. Chief Washington correspondent James Rosen explains.
No federal agency arouses as much fear and loathing in American taxpayers as the Internal Revenue Service, but the latest annual report by Nina Olson, the National Taxpayer Advocate, depicts an IRS struggling to get by. Hobbled by the forced budget cuts known as sequestration, the agency couldn't answer 20 million of the roughly 100 million calls it received last year and extended its waiting times on hold to 18 minutes. Even then, IRS service reps will only answer basic questions, referring even marginally more complex inquiries to the IRS website, published manuals, and outside firms and software. Even IRS audits, believe it or not, are suffering, down to less than 1% of individual filers, the lowest level since 2005.
The government has saved $1 billion in cuts to the IRS budget on an annual basis and lost $8 billion in compliance revenues.
It is a sad state of affairs, Olson wrote this week, when the government writes tax laws as complex as ours and then is unable to answer any questions beyond basic ones from baffled citizens who are doing their best to comply. The combination of more work and less funding, she said, predictably has impaired the IRS's ability both to meet taxpayer needs and to improve tax compliance.
And it's going to get worse as they have a responsibility of enforcing Obamacare. They say they need additional employees for it. Well, there isn't any federal agency that doesn't always start with that proposition, we need more money.
Meantime, the Department of Justice investigation into allegations that Tea Party groups received inappropriate scrutiny in their applications for tax-exempt status triggered a testy exchange between a Tea Party senator and the head of DOJ.
In the 280 days since that Inspector General report, nobody has been indicted, not a single person.
I don't know if you've ever conducted an investigation, Senator, but the fact that it's taken, and I'll just take you to your word, 280 days, is not unusual for complex investigations. We want to make sure that what we do is comprehensive and that at the end of the day we get it right.
In calling for the appointment of a special prosecutor to investigate the Tea Party cases, Senator Cruz cited such appointments under Presidents Nixon and Clinton, but Attorney General Holder said he has faith, Brett, in the career DOJ attorneys who are handling the matter.
All right, James, thank you. What do you think of the troubles behind the IRS? Let me know at Facebook.com/BrettBaerSR or on Twitter @BrettBaer and use the hashtag special report. Up next, some troubling news, very troubling, related to Syria's chemical weapons. But first, here's what some of our Fox affiliates across the country are covering tonight. WAGA in Atlanta has the Georgia governor's apology for storm preparation failures and a promise to do better in the future. Governor Nathan Deal has also issued plans for Atlanta drivers to get back the vehicles they abandoned during the winter storm. Dozens of roads are still affected by the ice and snow. Fox 8 in Ohio is covering a crane accident. 8 cars destroyed after a crane lifting an air conditioner fell over. No one was hurt, fortunately. And this is a live look at Boston from our Fox affiliate WFXT. The big story there tonight, prosecutors are seeking the death penalty for accused Boston Marathon bomber Dzhokhar Tsarnaev. The attack last year, which killed 3 people and wounded 264, was the deadliest bombing on U.S. soil since 9/11. That's tonight's live look outside the Beltway from Special Report. We'll be right back.